road to the 1991 Triple Crown with the first of our 5 telecasts of some of the major prep races leading to that first Saturday in May and the Kentucky Derby. And hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Lincoln with a welcome to New Orleans, or New Orleans, as they say down here in the deep south, and to Derby Day at the nation's third oldest racetrack, the Fairgrounds. We'll have much more on the history of this colorful racing facility a bit later on. Right now, though, right to the conditions for the Louisiana Derby. It's 66 running. It's a Grade 3, $200,000 guaranteed. That's $120,000 to the winner in this mile and a 16th test. And in thoroughbred racing, a Derby indicates 3-year-olds. We have 11 of them set to go to the post here this afternoon. The weather, well, it's turned a bit cold here this afternoon. Gray skies overhead, a blustery breeze blowing down the racetrack. Temperatures probably in the low 60s. That may be a little kind. We've had a lot of rain at this facility. In fact, the racetrack is located 5 feet below sea level here in New Orleans at the Fairgrounds. 3 inches of rain Friday, more rain on Saturday. They've done a magnificent job with this racing surface, though. We opened the day with a good racetrack. Now let's take a look at the current conditions. In fact, they upgraded after the third race to a fast racetrack. So a fast strip this afternoon for the Louisiana Derby. And now we're going to have a chance to visit with and meet the field with Dave Johnson, a former resident of New Orleans, along with Charles C. Kenny. Dave's happy to be here. Charles, he's absolutely jolly about it.
Well, Charlie, I've listened to my Harry Connick CD. I've had my beignets for breakfast and coffee with a little chicory. I am ready for this race. Doesn't New Orleans make you feel at home?
Well, Dave, when I come to New Orleans, I feel like I'm rejoining a party that I've been to before. And this week it's been especially festive because Louisiana contributed more troops to Operation Desert Storm than any other state in the Union. So they are justifiably and deservedly celebrating this week.
And these folks down here have taken their racing seriously for a long time. General George Custer raced horses here at the Fairgrounds. President Ulysses S. Grant was here enjoying the action and trying to win a bet.
And the fans were pretty tenacious, too. During the Depression, they used to commandeer milk wagons when transportation was scarce and bribe the driver to drive them the long way around to the Fairgrounds and drop them off.
Now, I didn't see any milk wagons out in the parking lot, but the parking lot is full. A big crowd here for the Louisiana Derby, and they have a field, it seems like every racetrack that we come to for a big race, that includes invaders.
And today's no exception. We've got Richmond is in all the way from Florida, and we've got Ice and Space has come from California, and they're facing pretty stout local colony.
And a full field of 11. Let's take a look at them in post-position order with the jockey assignments in the morning line. Satan's War with Steve Burnett starts at 20-1. Richmond, the 9-5 morning line choice with Pat Day. Annie Ollie with Glenn Louvier at 20. Slick Groom with Kirk LeBlanc at 8-1. The 5-horse is Big Courage with Tammy Fox starting at 3-1. Far Out Wadley at 12 with E.J. Perrodin. Gato del Sur with Angel Felix at 50-1. Ice in Space, Shane Romero rides 8-1. The 9-horse Near the Limit with Bobby Walker Jr. starts at 4.5-1. Bayou Reality at 20 with Billy Smith, and Denizen completes the field with Eddie Martin Jr. at 20-1. And the route that they will take for their mile and a 16th journey is very interesting because it's a quick run to the first turn. The turns are a little bit sharper then as they move on to the backstretch. Let's take a look at the animation of the race. And as they move down the backstretch, it is a long run, but Charles, I don't think that is the most important part of the contest.
The story here at Fairgrounds is the stretch. It is 1,346 feet. That's 350 feet longer than the average 1-mile racetrack. In fact, it's the second longest stretch of any track in the country. And you know, it's fun, Dave. When they come to the head of the stretch, it's like a harness race. They just fan out wide and get almost, you know, all the way across the track and charge down.
And what about the weights at the Kentucky Derby? They all will carry 126. What about today?
Today, it's weight is assigned by allowance. It depends on how much money the horses won. We've got 2 horses at top weight of 122 pounds. That's Far Out Wadley in Richmond, all the way down to the starting low weights at 112 in this run for the Orchids.
And we're ready, Chris.
We're back on our stop in New Orleans. You look at the skyline in the modern Superdome, and now to the Fairgrounds. From the 20th century marvel of the Superdome, we're going to take you back in history and a journey into that history here at the Fairgrounds, one of America's great racetracks and a proud Southern racing tradition. No place captures the romance of thoroughbred racing better than New Orleans. The sport of kings, first kingdom here in the deep south, was the old Metairie racetrack, where the best horses and the best people met. The reign of the Metairie course, starting in the 1830s, featured purses up to $10,000, but it would all come to an end with the outbreak of the Civil War. Metairie is now a cemetery, the final revenge of a prominent citizen who was denied admission to the Metairie Club and swore that before he died, he would buy the track and turn it into a cemetery. An aerial view shows that it's built around the old racetrack oval, and many veteran trackmen had as their last request that they be buried anywhere along the backstretch with a good view. As Metairie died, the fairgrounds was born. It was April 13, 1872. By 1880, the Louisiana Jockey Club was reformed under Duncan F. Kenner. As president, he led the fairgrounds into its profitable years. As the track moved into the 1900s, racing was banned in the state. By 1915, that law was repealed, and that started the fairgrounds' golden age. There were stars like the great race mare Panzeretta. During her career, she won 76 races, the most ever by a filly or mare. Black Gold won the Louisiana Derby of 1924 and went on to win the Kentucky Derby, the Ohio Derby, and the Derby in Chicago. The first three-year-old ever to win 4 derbies. The Great Depression of the 30s almost killed racing. Plans were made, in fact, to tear down the track and sell property off for development. In the final hour, the fairgrounds and racing was saved. Certainly the fairgrounds has been resilient. It was rebuilt after a devastating fire in 1919. It's come back from the Civil War, 2 world wars, and a national depression. And she remains the grand old lady of Southern racing as she heads towards the 21st century.
As far as the Louisiana Derby is concerned, Rich Man is just that. His earnings of over $365,000 make him the leading money winner in the field. Rich Man was also one of the leading 2-year-olds of 1990, high on the experimental free handicap list, and a winner of 5 straight stakes. Trainer Bill Mott is trying to modify Rich Man's front-running style to accommodate the longer races to come.
He's really a free-running horse. However, it seems as though over the winter in his works he's been relaxing and he's been very kind. He's been breaking off and just been going the first half of his works real relaxed and just waiting on the signal for you to ask him to run, and of course that's what you've got to do when you go a little further, and he's been learning that on his own, and hopefully he'll carry it out in his races.
His first race as a 3-year-old resulted in a 6th place finish in the Hutchison. There he faced Eclipse Award winner Fly So Free, an experience that Mott is in no hurry to duplicate.
Well, right now I think we're really trying to avoid Fly So Free. I want to find a spot where maybe I can, it's a little bit easier for my horse, and perhaps get him back on the winning track again.
Well, a man who knows a little bit about the winning track will be aboard Richmond today, and that is jockey Pat Day, who this week became only the 6th rider in history to reach the $100 million earnings mark. And Pat, congratulations. That's an incredible achievement.
Well, thank you very much, Charles. It really is quite an accomplishment, and I feel very honored and very blessed to become a part of that elite company. It's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. That's a lot of money. You know, a lot of trips around the oval, but we've been very fortunate, been able to remain healthy, and happy to have reached that milestone.
And looking to add for it today aboard Richmond in the Louisiana Derby, you rode him in the Hutchison, his seasonal debut, and it was a losing race, but it wasn't a bad race.
No, he got beat 3.5 lengths to, gosh, I can't think of the colt's name now. Help me out.
Fly So Free.
Fly So Free, yeah, you was pulling a blank too. He got beat 3.5 lengths. It wasn't quite the effort that we was looking for, but in hindsight, it wasn't as bad as what we initially thought. So he's trained forwardly since that race, and I've got complete confidence in Billy and his ability to bring him up to this race. So I'm looking for a bang-up race out of him.
You've ridden a couple of races here today, Pat. What about this racetrack?
Well, they got a big rain here last night, they said, and considering that, the track's in very good shape. You know, I think it doesn't really play favoritism to either speed or coming from behind horses. I don't see any bias in the racetrack, and hopefully it'll work to our favor.
All right, good luck, safe trip. Pat Day looking for his 3rd Louisiana Derby. Chris, back to you.
And our horse dropped to 3-5. Not really a surprise. Big Courage at 5-1. Here's a bit of a surprise. 4 Out Wadley is now the 2nd choice at 4-1. Most of the others big prices here, Ice in Space at 8-1, others all double digits there. You might remember last week when we were in Phoenix for the Phoenix Gold Cup, the one won by Answer Do. Lyman Rollins was the winning trainer, winning his 4th Gold Cup. Had quite a family background there, Lyman Rollins. Had all of his family members involved in thoroughbred racing. We found another family racing story right here at the old fairgrounds, involved with the local favorite, Big Courage. Here's Dave Johnson with that story.
This is the barn of the family Fox. Bill Sr. is the trainer, his daughter Tammy the rider, and they both work for wife and mother Patsy, whom Bill Sr. calls a demanding owner.
She's the toughest one of all. She wants to know everything, and I have to answer to her nightly and daily.
Big Courage has given the owner little to complain about, with 4 wins and 3 seconds in 7 starts. But for Tammy, the relationship with the colt hasn't always been smooth.
When we first got the horse, he was real green, and the first day I galloped him, he bolted with me, and he threw me off one day, and that was, after that, I didn't want to get on the horse anymore. I told my dad, I said, well, this is my brother's mount. I said, he's all his. I said, I don't want to get on him.
But a December injury to brother Bill Jr. forced Tammy to get on him, and the pair has won 3 stakes since. And Tammy feels Big Courage best lived up to his name in his most recent start.
The last race when he ran, he got headed at the 16th, about the 8th pole. The horse passed him up, and he showed me he had enough guts to come back and win, you know, beat that other horse. That's what he impressed me a lot by doing that.
And as for the Derby, Bill Fox Sr. has a race strategy firmly in mind.
I imagine in the actual running, he'll be 7th, 8th down the backside, and maybe 8 or 9 lengths off the lead. And if he has clear running room at the 3/8 pole, I imagine he'll swing out and start picking him up and hope he can go from there.
And if Big Courage does go on to win, will Tammy get to keep them out when brother Billy returns to the saddle?
I sure hope so, but she said she was going to switch up. But I don't know. You know, it's hard to take a winning rider off, you know, when a horse keeps on winning. But we'll see. Time will tell.
Well, there is one way that Tammy Fox might lose the mount on Big Courage. Her mother, Patsy Fox, who owns the colt, says she has a 10 o'clock curfew the night before she's to ride this colt, and if she isn't home, she doesn't ride. And there's Big Courage. He and Tammy Fox teaming up to win their 4th straight stakes victory, hopefully. Undefeated in stakes company, these two are. And here's a look at Slick Groom. This gelding, he's a really solid, consistent, come-from-behind performer, just like his daddy was, Runaway Groom. And the long stretch here is going to be to his advantage with that running tactic. He closed fast to just miss catching Big Courage last time out. We're going to take a look now at a horse called Near the Limit. He's really been on the improve since they started running him long on the dirt, which are his last 4 starts. He won 3 and was a close second in the Lecomte to Big Courage. He'll get a bit of a weight switch that's to his advantage today, too. That's a look at what's happening in the paddock. Let's see what's happening around Chris Lincoln.
All right, Charles, as we head to the break, it's a little cold out here, but those people in the clubhouse there, they're enjoying the warmth of the warm temperatures there and the warm southern hospitality here in New Orleans.
Here is Stephen Christ, formerly the racing columnist for the New York Times, now the editor-in-chief of Racing Times. And, well, Stephen, let's zero in on the favorite, Richmond. He was backing up in his last race at 7 furlongs. Today he goes 1 mile and a 16th. Does that bother you?
No, Dave, it doesn't bother me at all. I think he'll have a much easier time getting the lead today, even though the race is longer, because he's facing softer company than he did last time out.
Well, let's take a look at last time out. Video of the Hutchison from Gulfstream Park. And as we watch them go down the backstretch, Richmond is between horses. Is this the classic prelude to a stretch meltdown?
Yeah, Richmond's really in the middle of a speedball sandwich here. He's got a horse named Woodsy on one side of him and 2 Freedom on the other. They're pressing him to run very fast, very early. Today, he's not running against that kind of horse. There isn't that kind of speed.
And, Stephen, what else do you like about Richmond today?
There are a lot of things in his favor, Dave. He's making his 2nd start off a layoff. He should be a lot tighter than he's been in the past, and he ran against much, much better horses last year. He's taking a pretty significant drop.
Okay, so just to recap now, the reasons that Stephen Christ likes Richmond. A tough trip last out in the Hutchison. Should improve today. Then we also have Richmond facing better throughout his career. And finally, he should be able to get the lead a lot easier. Over on the tote board, we've got 1 to 2 and a fast track listed. Anything else?
That's a little tough, Dave, because there's a strong wind blowing in horses' faces, and there hasn't been a front runner to win all day. I'd take it easy at 1 to 2.
Okay, thanks very much, Stephen, and we'll go back to Chris.
Thank you. We're ready for the post parade for the 66th Louisiana Derby. Let's start with Satan's War. This roan gelding was 5th in the Risen Star, 4th in the Crescent City Derby, has had a check in 5 of his 8 races. Steve Burnett is the rider. The number 2 horse in our post parade, and here is the big favorite. He has now been bet down in this race to 1 to 2. This is Richmond. He's won 7 of 11 starts, the only greatest stakes winner in the field. His earnings, in fact, are more than the other 10 combined here. A treble 6 in the Hutchison in his 91 debut. Pat Day, multiple Eclipse Award winner, looking for his 3rd win in the Louisiana Derby, won in 86 and 87. The 3 horse, Any Alley. Any Alley was 6th in the Risen Star. He won a $50,000 claiming race just before that. His rider, Glenn Louvier, regular fairgrounds rider. He heads to Arlington in Chicago for the summer racing. The 4 horse is Slick Groom, 2nd by just a nose in the Risen Star, 3rd in the Lecomte, has some talent, Slick Groom, this chestnut gelding. Kirk LeBlanc, regular among the top riders in the standings here at the fairgrounds and down at Louisiana Downs. He's in the irons this afternoon. The 5 horse, here's the family horse. Big Courage, owned by Patsy Fox, trained by Billy Fox, ridden by Tammy Fox. Local star in a 3-race win streak, 1st in the Risen Star and the Lecomte handicap. Tammy Fox, you're looking at history here today, folks, at this historic track. The first woman ever to ride to the post in a Louisiana Derby in its 66 runnings. The 6 horse, and has been surprising, a 2nd choice, Far Out Wadley. Very well behaved, this brown colt. You see no outrider, no pony with him. Has won his last 3 starts, including the Sales Derby and the Derby Trial. E.J. Perrodin is the rider. Started riding in the bush tracks in this area, as so many famed jockeys have. The 7 horse, a Keeneland sale purchase, Gato del Sur. Gato del Sur, why is he in this race? That's a good question. Has not finished his last 2 starts. Beaten in 2 races before that by a total of 32 lengths. But they're going to take a shot with Gato del Sur today. Angel Felix is the rider. The 8 horse, another Keeneland sale purchase. Ice in Space, the shipper from California, makes his stakes debut in Louisiana this afternoon. In fact, his stakes debut, period. Won an allowance race at Bay Meadows, was 3rd in his last start at Santa Anita on the turf. Shane Romero, he's the leading rider here, has won the last 3 titles. Won the 88 Louisiana Derby with Risen Star. The 9 horse is Near the Limit, 2nd Lecomte handicap. After 3 straight allowance wins, Bobby Walker has them out, 2nd leading rider during this meeting at the fairgrounds. The 10 horse of Chestnut Gelding Bayou Reality, 2nd in 2 Derby preps at the fairgrounds. That's the Sale Derby and the Derby Trial. Billy Smith has the ride. He's a regular Louisiana rider. He won 6 races in 1 day here at the fairgrounds last year. Rounding out our field, this is Denizen. Denizen ran for a $25,000 tag in a start earlier this year. 6th in Lecomte, 3rd by 4.5 in the Risen Star. Eddie Martin Jr., native of New Orleans, riding Louisiana circuit. He has the call today on Denizen. Well, among the traditions of Budweiser racing across America is a Bud Longshot winner here at the historic fairgrounds. That happened a few years back. We were here for the Week of Fame in 1987. We picked Chief Stewart at 23 to 1, and he won the Sprint Championship that evening. Well, let's see if we can find a Bud Longshot winner for you for today's Louisiana Derby.
Ice in Space, who recently beamed in from California for the Louisiana Derby. Now, all of his previous races took place in the warmth of the Golden State, including 2 scorchers at Bay Meadows. After leading wire to break his maiden, the son of Ice Capade found himself several lengths behind the leaders in his next start. An allowance affair, but he responded strongly when asked to run and was really cooking to catch the leaders and win going away. Now, Ice in Space may be new to the ways of the South, but trainer Christian Dumont has teamed him with leading local rider Shane Romero, who has been red hot of late. We like the combination, fire and ice, to freeze the competition as our Budweiser long shot.
And there is Ice in Space, the 8 horse from California, galloping towards the post here in Louisiana at the fairgrounds. And on the board, our Bud Longshot. Oh, I'll take that. is at 12-1 for the Budweiser long shot, Ice in Space. They're starting to come out of the warm grandstand towards the rail. It's almost post time for the Louisiana Derby. Get you on the odds now. The horses are warming up on the backstretch. Satan's War, big price. Richmond is at 3-5 now. Big Courage at 9-2. Far Out Wildly is at 5-1. Big prices the rest of the way, including our Bud Longshot Ice in Space at 11-1. One of the 65 past runnings of this Louisiana Derby. We have really had some outstanding horses. We'll be telling you more about them in just a moment.
Accommodations are...
In 1988, the Louisiana Derby proved to be the starting point for a colt named Risen Star, destined to become a Louisiana racing legend.
They're at the top of the stretch, and it's D. Lance with the lead. On the inside is Pastorella. Jim's Orbit, Word Pirate, Risen Star now comes on. Can he get through? They're by the 8th pole, and it's Pastorella with the lead. Risen Star quickly on. Word Pirate on the outside. By the 16th pole, and Risen Star gets through to take the lead. It's Risen Star in front.
From the winner's circle in New Orleans, Risen Star would go on to capture 2 jewels of the Triple Crown, winning the Preakness and the Belmont, along with the bonus check for $1 million and a year-end Eclipse award. To honor their Louisiana champion, a special exhibit stands in the clubhouse highlighting the career of the Fairgrounds 1988 star.
This look back has been brought to you by...
I like Richmond, but I don't like 1-2. I like the angle, though, of second after a long layoff. He should improve, and he should beat this field. But in order to make him usable, I guess, at the tote board or at the windows, you got to find something to use in the exacta. So I looked long and hard, and I came up with 2 others. Ice in Space, and I like his versatility. He can go to the front, or he can come from off the pace. I also like the jockey change to Shane Romero. And one of my handicapping theories is that when a jockey has won 2 races on the card, you're hot, you know where the bias of the track is lying, and you feel good. And Near the Limit has Bobby Walker Jr., who has won 2 earlier this afternoon, and he's a price. He's 14-1, started at 4.5 in the morning line, so I just went down and boxed the 2, 8, 9, Richmond, Ice in Space, and Near the Limit. Keep your fingers crossed for me, Chris. I want to buy some gloves.
I understand, Dave. Well, Ice in Space, of course, also has, we mentioned, Shane Romero. He is the hot jock, and that is very appropriate today, Charles, to talk about a hot jockey.
We got a little equipment problem here with the 4-horse Slick Groom. Yes, Reset the Saddle may have slipped backing, but yeah, Shane Romero is really one of the dominant stories here at the fairgrounds. He's on his way to a 4th year as leading rider. Twice in the last 3 weeks, he's won 6 races in a single day. He's got twice the victories of his closest competitor. And it's apparent that he's part of that school of riders that comes out of here, like Craig Perret and Eddie De La Houssaye. But he hasn't given a lot of thought just yet to leaving, moving on like eventually they will, but I think probably he will soon.
Well, interesting field. You hear post-time, of course, for this Louisiana Derby in the background. You know, Shane Romero, Chachi, you made the point there, had a chance to visit earlier with us and talk about his future plans in thoroughbred racing.
I'm doing good here right now, and I'm riding the right horses to get to the winner's circle, and if I get the right opportunity later on, you know, I might go to Kentucky or somewhere up north. As long as I'm doing good, you know, I'll go anywhere.
Some more adjustments now. Looks like they're working on the shadow roll or bridle there of the 7-horse Gato del Sur, the gray colt, who right now is and deserves to be one of the longest prices on the board at 80-1. You see they're getting his work there. You know, number 1 horse, Satan's War, he's another long price at 70-1, and it would be quite an upset for Satan's War, but I tell you what a great story he is, Charlesy. His owner, Singleton Gilliott, just underwent surgery to have a pacemaker installed within the last week. His son, David Gilliott, is an interesting story as a trainer as you look at the horsey conditions, Satan's War. Now, I know we're a little cruel sometimes as trainers. We say they're not rocket scientists. It's kind of a phrase we use in this business, but that's not true of David Gilliott. He was a rocket scientist, an aerospace engineer, worked on the Saturn program that helped get America to the moon. And how about the rider there, Steve Burnett, on Satan's War? He has a degree in biochemistry, plans to go back for a master's and a PhD PhD in genetics.
But it might be a good thing that Satan's War can't read, because he's 70-1 on the tote board. This colt is still eligible for non-winners other than, and is an rank outsider.
Stakes record for 1 1/16, and of course it's just been run at that distance for the last 4 years. Risen Star holds the mark at 1:43.1. The track record of 1 1/16, soy numero uno at 1:42.2. That was set back in 1977. Those are the marks to shoot for. We do have a fast track. Let's talk now some about race strategy here, Chelsea.
Well, the story is strictly Richmond. He has the speed, the dominant speed. He has won his races going wire to wire, and he's got that sharp early speed. There are several horses in here who might be on or close to the lead were Richmond not present. But I think he's really going to outsprint all them. I'd be very surprised to see anybody with him going around the first turn, and likely nobody with him coming to the wire.
2 to 5 is Richard right now. You know, I was reading an article in the paper this morning in the Times-Picayune that Bob Fortas did about talking to Pat Day, and Pat was concerned about this being one of the longest stretches in American racing. He thought that would work against Richmond.
Well, it could very well, because it gives a horse like Slick Groom or Big Courage a chance to make up some ground through the stretch. They've got a big long straightaway, and they can take advantage of their late closing efforts.
Far Out Wadley is being loaded in the starting gate now. He is at 7 to 1. The story again is Richmond. You'll identify him as he breaks from the 2-hole at 2 to 5. Now we'll go to the top of the grandstand, and the man who will be calling the 66th Louisiana Derby, for his thoughts, Dave Johnson.
And there goes Guthel Dill, sir. Moving in line, the 7 horse, a great colt. Ice in Space, the Bud Longshot is at 9 to 1. Shane Romero guides that one in. And Bobby Walker will be next with Near the Limit. He's looking for his 3rd winner of the afternoon, and Near the Limit is at 14 to 1. Bayou Reality is in with Billy Smith, and Dennison, who has shown some early speed, is on the extreme outside in post position 11. All set for the start of the Louisiana Derby 1991. Toward the inside. Annie Ollie between horses. Dennison on the outside, followed by Near the Limit. Now they pass the stands for the first time. Annie Ollie has the lead. Here comes Richmond. Moving through along the inside. Dennison on the outside is racing 3rd. Then between horses, that's Near the Limit in 4th position. There goes Ice in Space moving on the outside 5th. The Roan at the rail. Satan's War is 6th. Bayou Reality is racing 7th. Gato del Sur on the inside is 8th. Then a gap of 4 lengths back to the trailers. Far Out Wadley, Big Courage, the local star, on the outside is 10th. And Slick Groom is 11th and last. The first quarter in 23 1/5 seconds. The battle on the front end has Richmond with Pat Day now on the inside and in front by a head, and Annie Ollie with Glenn Louviere on the outside challenging. Now those two match strides. Richmond still with a short lead past the half-mile, Paul, and Annie Ollie on the outside is 2nd. As Near the Limit moves up a closer 3rd. Dennison is racing 4th. The Bud Longshot. Ice in Space is 5th. Bayou Reality on the outside 6th. As Satan's War finds a little racing room toward the inside. Far Out Wadley is gaining with every stride and moves to the middle of the racetrack as the field turns for home. That's Near the Limit, taking command on the outside. Richmond toward the inside 2nd. Those two are heads apart. Richmond on the inside, and on the outside, Near the Limit. And down the stretch they come. On the inside, it's Richmond. On the outside, Near the Limit, with Far Out Wadley gaining ground in 3rd. Now as they move into the final 16th of a mile, Pat Day asks Richmond for a little more speed, and he gets it. The favorite draws clear by 2, with Near the Limit 2nd. Richmond wins the Louisiana Derby with Near the Limit 2nd and Far Out Wadley 3rd. The final time, 1 minute 44 2/5 seconds.
Richmond wins the Louisiana Derby, and it's deja vu for owner W.F. Lucas and trainer Billy Mott. They were here in 1984, as we mentioned, with the favorite Taylor Special. They've come back again and won again on this run for the Orchids of Louisiana Derby. For Pat Day, it is his 3rd Derby victory. He won with Country Light in 86, J.T. Spett in 87, in 91 with Richmond. Let's take a look at the stretch, and they really fanned out here, Chelsea.
The result was what we expected. It got done a little differently. An unexpected show of speed from Annie Ollie, who kept Richmond company on the lead. As they turned for home, it was a typical Pat Day ride. He was playing cat and mouse with Far Out Wadley, who moved up at the head of the stretch. But then when Pat decided to let Richmond run, he gets after him a bit, keeps him at an alert lead, and leads Far Out Wadley clear. But Little more brisk pace on the front end than I expected from the others there.
1:44 and 2. That's 2 seconds off the track record here. And behind the big living oak tree here comes our star, the unofficial winner of the Louisiana Derby, the Brown Colt Richmond by Bet Big out of the Super Concord mare, Dazzling Concord. He's a Florida bred by Scott Saban. The Louisiana Derby at the fairgrounds here, and Richmond is our unofficial winner here. As you see, 1:44 and 2, near the limit, chased him home strongly and far out Wadley, finishing third. Those again unofficial results. Big question, of course, is Richmond, who's being unsaddled here. Has he projected himself back in the Triple Crown picture? He was a star at 2, won 5 straight stakes races, then disappointed in the Hutchinson, running 6. Trainer Billy Mott told us in Florida he wanted no more part of Fly So Free. He was going to come here and see if his horse could reestablish himself. Dave, do you think he did with this performance?
I certainly did. In fact, let's watch as the trio move to the top of the stretch. That's Richmond, the eventual winner on the rail, and Near the Limit, who tried to spoil the party for Pat Day this afternoon on the outside in a very courageous effort, picked up horses and then collared the leader at the top of the stretch. Any Alley, who pressed the pace, gives it up, and Far Out Wadley is going to come into your picture soon. But this is a professional racehorse and a confident ride by Pat Day, because he let Near the Limit get past him and then went on the inside and took command. With Near the Limit getting the place spot, and as you see, Far Out Wadley is closing, but not stoutly enough, as Richmond, the favorite, comes home the winner by about 3, with Near the Limit second and Far Out Wadley third. Chris?
You know, a horse that really deserves some special credit, though, is the 9 horse, Near the Limit. He chased the winner Richmond here to the finish line. His second place performance after 3 straight allowance wins here. Charles C. Kennedy is with Near the Limit's rider, Bobby Walker.
And give credit to Bobby Walker for a good ride. He stalked Richmond well. I thought for a minute there you might have him.
At the 8th pole, I had a good chance at him. I headed him, and he couldn't draw back away from me, so I felt like I had a big shot. But the further down the lane, the other horse's class come out, and my horse has been a while between races, so he got just a little bit tired.
It must have encouraged you a little bit when you saw Any Alley going with him around the first turn and softened him up.
I was real excited about that up the backside. They were going a good moderate pace. He wasn't getting away with any slow pace. And
here's your move here.
Yeah, I was always close enough to pick him up. When I seen the other horse starting to back off, I had enough horse, fortunately, I could pick him up and take my chances from there. And I did head him for a long while, but I just couldn't get on by him.
Well, Pat Day is a little bit discouraging like that. You feel like, well, you've got him measured, and he's still always got something left.
Well, I'll give credit to Pat. I feel like Pat's probably the most confident rider in the nation. And he sits there an awful long time. You never get to him without him having a little bit of something left.
Well, you put up a good show, Bobby. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go back to my dear friend, Chris Lincoln.
Thank you, Chelsea. And there's Pat Day, the 3rd time he's been on the winner here in the Louisiana Derby. We'll be right back with more post-race comments and analysis. America welcomes you back to the Louisiana Derby. Let's look at the official prices as our winner, Richmond, goes off the track. 1:44 and 2. Richmond, the big favorite, returns 280, 280, 240. Near the Limit, 680, 440. Far Out Wadley at 320. The exacta 29, a slim $26.10. Here's the rest of the field now. Let's pick them up with our 4th place finisher. That's Satan's War. Slick Groom, Ice in Space. The Bud Longshot runs 6. Looking down the field here in our field of 11, Big Courage 7th, the disappointment for the local horse, Denizen. Any Alley 9th, Bio-Reality 10th, and last, Gato del Sur 11th.
Accommodations arranged through Hyatt Hotel.
Back upstairs, Dave Johnson, again with Stephen Christ of the Racing Times.
Well, Stephen, at the top of the show, we talked about 3 different things that they all turned out to be keys to victory for Richmond.
Yeah, he had a pretty easy time up on the lead. There was another horse next to him, but it was a bad horse. And boy, did he ever prove he was the class of the field. The best horse won, because you don't see horses get past and come on to win very often, but he was just that much better than these.
It was certainly no Hutchison to get over here today, was it?
Not at all. And the time of the race was really pretty good. I thought if they went 1:44 and 1 or better, they were good horses, and he only ran a tick slower than that.
Stephen, best of luck with the Racing Times. We'll be looking for its publication soon, and many more winners to you.
Thanks, Dave.
Back to you, Chris. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Stephen. Richmond heads back to the barn. He has won the 1991 Louisiana Derby. We'll be back right after this break. Louisiana Derby, and we have the man who's won the Derby for the 3rd time in his great career, Pat Day. Pat, let's talk about the significant part of the race when you know you had this one wrapped up.
Well, I went into the race with a tremendous amount of confidence. The race wasn't as bad as we first thought it was, the race in Florida. And, of course, he's in very capable, very competent hands with Billy Mott.
You're on the rail here, Pat, the 2-horse.
Yeah, he was a very courageous performance. He was eyeballed all the way. Right here, the 9-horse went on past him just a little bit. When I sat down on him and asked him to run, he responded big and put him away. It was a very courageous performance on his part.
Pat, I know you're like everybody searching for a Triple Crown horse.
Well, this time of the year, I think anybody involved in the horse business is everybody's shopping right now. We're looking, and I tell you what, I was very pleased with this horse's race today.
Pat, congratulations, 3rd Louisiana Derby win. Let's go to Charleston now, and Billy Mott, who has his 2nd Derby win.
That was a nice job, Bill, getting him ready, bringing him here. And after you'd had a little company going around the first turn, when you came to the quarter pole and Pat was just sort of waiting on this other horse so much, were you a little concerned?
Well, I really didn't know for sure how much horse he had left. I felt that he was probably just giving his horse a breather and giving him a chance to switch leads. And generally, he saves a little bit for the end. He did the same thing to me in the Breeders' Cup with Theatrical. He let a horse run by him and then came on and won, but he rode a good race.
Yeah. Well, the obvious question is now, how good is he and where are you going with him?
Well, how good is he? That's a tough question. I mean, we hooked the best horse in the country the last time out, and he beat us. And, of course, I didn't feel like right at this time I wanted to be chasing him around. I feel that the horse Fly So Free is a real top horse, and if I can spot my horse around, maybe avoid him, that we'll have a lot of fun with him.
Sure will, and we'll see you soon. We'll go back to Chris right now.
All right, thank you much. And by the way, Pat Day wants to say happy birthday to his little daughter, Ira.